guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I can do an update to the video I did last week titled, My Girlfriend Went Mental After Roe vs. And guys, if you recall, that's all about the young guy who is, I believe, 19 years old, and for what seemed like probably months to half a year was with this nutcase lunatic of a girlfriend who was unbelievably psycho and controlling, who in my opinion was definitely bipolar. Definitely something was up with her aside from just being an a-hole. And as the story went in the beginning, everything seemed fine, as they always do. And then the Roe versus Wade decision, or the one that came a couple of years ago, came out. She lost her freaking mind, started bossing him around, controlling, trying to get him to get a vasectomy, abandoned his school, his job, his family, all this crazy off-the-wall bullshit. And this guy just put up with it and put up with it and put up with it. And I know a lot of you guys in the video was just, you want to pull your hair out, this young guy. But then at the end of the day, he was a young guy, not a lot of experience. And ultimately, he kicked her to the curb, which is good. But there were definitely a lot of questions in the comment sections and things that he wanted to include, but he didn't want to make it too long. So he's providing an update with more information about her character, things like that, where things have gone since, and of course, how he found my channel in a way I didn't expect, to be honest. So I'm going to jump into this because this is definitely a good one, guys. His story was, in many ways, what not to do. And I was a little easier on him only because he was super young and less experienced. If he was 25 years old, I'd be smacking the shit out of him 10 times more. And hopefully he's learned his lesson. So he continues his story saying, hello, SSM. Part 2 of this story will start right before the Colorado trip. One important thing I forgot to mention in the last video is how she wanted to get eloped in the middle of nowhere with none of our families. Dude, thank the Lord you didn't marry this crazy psycho. And of course you didn't want your families there because they would have told you don't do it. This was one of those things I put my foot down and did not give an inch. Right before the Colorado trip, I was reaching my breaking point with her and told some of my friends, if this Colorado trip does not go well, I'm ending it. Dude, you should have ended it so many times in your story with her previously. Good Lord. But at least you ended it with her, and I hope you learned something. The Colorado trip turned out to be surprisingly low stress and fun, so I decided to keep the relationship going. Not according to what I remember. Sounds like a lot of stress to me. When I got home, however, she went back to being her normal and bitchy self, complaining about how much she hates seeing people she knows and how much she just wants to leave in a van already. Well, sayonara, go live in a van, knock yourself out. Or go live in a garbage can with Oscar the Grouch. It says here, it's easy for me now to realize her travel ideas, van ideas, vasectomy ideas were complete bananas, but back in the day, I think I was actually considering her ideas because of how deep her manipulation was. I'm not going to deny she wasn't that way, and you just were an inexperienced young guy, didn't see it coming. She banked on how anxious school made me and how much my job stresses me sometimes, and offered a life where I didn't have to worry about that. Yeah, a life where, you didn't have to worry about that, but how are you going to fund that life? Oh yeah, she's the one that wanted to start a travel YouTube channel and TikTok that just, in her mind, would instantly pay you money. Doesn't work that way. She says, every day I would be sent videos about how 9 to 5 is poison, college is becoming more useless, and the many places in the world to see, and how I should be stuck working, how I'd be stuck working for the man. It was effectively propaganda. Well, I'm not going to deny the part about college becoming more and more useless. It's only worthwhile if you play your cards right, Major in the right thing that's going to pay a return on your investment. Try to get the best possible deal, maybe going to community college, getting scholarships. Who the hell knows ways to save money? Live at home so you don't pay room and board. And yes, one can definitely argue 9 to 5 working for the man can be poison, but if you're doing something that you enjoy or it's helping you get to where you want to be in life, then so be it. I did want to go somewhere for my birthday weekend, and she suggested NYC, which I initially refused, but the reasons she offered were pretty good, such as an easy to get around on public transportation and many fun tourist attractions to see. And mid-April comes, and at my breaking point again. On many days, she would text me, I'm mad at you, without elaborating and proceeding to not talk to me most of the day. So she's one of these jackasses who just tells her guy, I'm mad at you, and expects him to figure it out. To manipulate him to say, why, what did I do? But any guy with a brain would just be like, okay, and laugh it off, or not get involved with someone that pulls that kind of bullshit. He says the reason she was mad at me was usually because we could be traveling the world, but you're playing, or you don't seem to care enough about getting a vasectomy. One of the biggest incidents that occurred 12 days before the trip. We had a plan for the day, which was to go by a seminar at our college and go to the market to buy some dinner, and to go to a pet shop window, look at pets, and maybe buy something for the husky. The time comes to leave, and she's just laying on the floor. I keep saying it's time to leave, but she keeps saying, I want to go to France, and keeps laying on the floor. I'm just picturing this bonehead girl laying on the floor, just being a drama queen. I want to go to France. How you stayed with her this long, man. Please, after these videos and your experience, you've learned something about women. Hours go by, and I spend the time studying languages and playing with the husky, but at 8 p.m. she's still laying on the floor. Well, that's where she belongs, with the dirt. I suggest that we go to the store to get something to eat. Her home never had food, and she says, again, I want to go to France, and kept laying on the floor. At this point, I snapped back and said, well, we can't go to fucking France. Now let's go. Your dogs are hungry, and they have not been walked yet. I'm about to do it instead of you. 8:30 comes by, and she finally gets off the floor, and she says she's ready. Dude, she's just messing with your head. I mean, she's nuts. We can all agree that, but she's messing with your head. How long can I stay on the floor and get this guy to hang around telling me it's time to get up? I'm about to blow a fuse and tell her it's too late. She yells at me to break up with her, and I storm out of the house. This was the inciting incident that made me want to break up. Oh, this is what made you want to break up, not the 10,000 other crazy stunts she pulled along the way? In math class the next day, he's in college, guys, I talked to one of my friends about what happened, and I say I want to break up with her. This is the same guy that she threatened to break up with me if I hung out with him. He's been through a lot of more breakups than me, so I wanted to see what he said. The big problem was the NYC trip. It was non-refundable right now. He asked me if I wanted to be friends with her after the breakup, and that I need to decide that before it happens. I wasn't interested in her so much as I wanted to keep in contact with the dogs. I didn't talk much about this in the last video, but a big barrier for freeing myself was those darn dogs. The concepts of never seeing the dogs again was a big deal to me, but the point, it was a risk I was willing to take. Dude, I'm an animal lover too. Believe me. And I get being attached to pets, but good Lord, staying with her, if you couldn't see the dogs again, that'd be a shame. It's a small price to pay to get this crazy out of your fucking life. My friends still advise I go on the NYC trip so I don't waste my money. Later that day, I talked to my friend at work, the one who got me and her together. Well, I wouldn't be friends with someone that got you and this crazy nut job together. And he says also the same girl that caused my girlfriend to hit me if I talked about her. And she advised a breakup and not to go to New York. My interest in the other coworker came in around this time, but it was not the primary reason for me wanting to break up with my girlfriend. I failed to mention in the last video. And what was weird about the physical abuse was that I didn't remember she did it until around 3 weeks after I broke up with her. She hit me almost every time I talked about another girl at my job, but my brain blocked the memories. Memories about the dinosaur umbrella were also blocked until 3 weeks after the breakup. So that's not uncommon, that people can go through, to them, traumatic events, and they actually block it out and don't remember until way later in time that these things happen. It does happen. Again, reasons you shouldn't have been with her and ever talk to her again, and I'll get more on that at the end of this story. There was another incident. Of course there was another incident with this nutcase. Before the trip worth talking about. My girlfriend had dog training pads that she bought from the place we work that she ended up not using. She did not have the receipt, and it was past the time you could return it. We were at another location, not the location we bought it at, and she wanted me to do this fraudulent return for her. Why doesn't she do it? I adamantly refused since corporate tracks everything electronic and it's super trigger happy to fire employees over these violations. I later deemed this an attempt to get me fired from my job since she'd been trying to get me to quit for the past 6 months. What a great girl. She called me a name and did the return herself. She came back and told me she's not buying us a Statue of Liberty tickets anymore. This was a big deal. I wanted to go there more than anywhere in NYC. Her work is about 25 minutes away from her house. Mine is 4 minutes away, but I was filling in a different store to earn more money. This store was only about 5 minutes from her work, and we got off around the same time. Good Lord. If you had to go through all this crap to learn a major life lesson, so be it, dude. and you're providing entertainment for tens of thousands of dudes around the planet, and I'm sure there's some guys that are watching the story like, I'm never doing that shit, and they'll start seeing behavior in their girls, and they'll be like, oh, I remember that guy with a crazy girlfriend who went nuts after the Roe versus decision, so I'm not going to stay with her any longer. While I was at work, I bought a Statue of Liberty ticket for just myself. I surprised her at work as she was getting off, and we talked more about the trip. I told her I bought a ticket for Queen Liberty, and she asked excitedly if I got her one too. And I enjoyed her face of disappointment when I said I did not. Again, reasons why you're not with. Why are you playing these goddamn games, dude? She asked me if I could, but I refused, so she bought it herself. The trip happens, and she's super nice to me, but I know it's only temporary. For the trip, she paid for the flights, I paid for the Airbnb, and food and activity costs were divided. The Airbnb had Netflix, so I watched Stranger Things for the first time. On my birthday, I wanted to watch a movie called The Raid: Redemption, which I wanted to see for a while, and she went ballistic. She went ballistic over a movie? That's a genuine good reason to go ballistic? Really? I eventually won the argument, which shouldn't have ever happened. She would ask me every half an hour how stupid the movie was. She would also get mad that I was working on my book in the Airbnb. Drama, drama, drama. She is obviously off her medication and escaped the loony bin before you met her. When I got home, I got quite sick and spent most of the time I wasn't working resting since I couldn't sleep at night. She used this as an opportunity to accuse me of ignoring her. She wanted to go to LA for her birthday in July, and I really did not want to go to LA. Well, I don't blame you there, my man. No offense to the Los Angeles brothers out there, but you can't blame me for making that crack. On May 2nd, I went over to her house with the intention of breaking up with her. It's about fucking time. I used my last hour to speak freely with no filter. I told her I was going to university, which prompted her to remind me that we'd have to break up at that point then. I also said I was not dropping out of school, which caused another breakup threat. Oh no, the crazy lunatic wants to break up with me. Whatever will I do? We took the dogs for one last walk, and on the way back, she reminded me that I was getting snipped at 21. So I took the opportunity to remind her that I am not. I could see the steam coming out of her ears. We got back inside again, and I called her over to the laundry room. That is when I ended it. She went from narcissistic socio to beggar in seconds. She hugged me and begged me not to do it, and asked why I was doing it. So she repeatedly threatens to break up with you for not getting a vasectomy, not quitting your job, not quitting school, not ditching your friends and family to be with her, to live in a van and drive around the country or go to Europe because she wants to go to France. And then you finally grow a pair and a brain, break up with her, and all of a sudden she's sugar and spice and everything nice, begging you not to dump her. Shocker. See the power a guy can have by walking away, by actually growing a pair? I told her that I would tell her later, and that I would still be open to walking the dog sometimes. Smack! I should have smacked him 10 times already. I don't know what I'm thinking. It's Monday. Dude, you broke up with her. No more of this I'll tell you later crap. Run. Move. Get out of there. I left promptly after my remarks. I got a text later that she didn't want to be broken up with and wanted to get back together at some point. I ignored her. Good. She texted later again saying that she would want to walk the dogs. I went online and got a call with my friend and informed her what happened. Later we got into an in-depth conversation about border clashes on the Chinese-Indian border. I referred to that night because I broke up with her the night because I talked about the Indo-Chinese border. I also started rewatching Game of Thrones that night. TMI, but fair enough. The next day, she texted me to cover over on Tuesday to walk the husky and come over with all my facial hair shaved. Okay. I refused and said I wasn't ready yet and I would come looking how I wanted. Why are you responding to her? Dude. Around this time, she texted me again if I got with someone and she would never want to get back with me. A week in, I realized I did not need to walk the dogs. A week later, I agreed to walk the husky with her because I really wanted to know what her plan was. Smack! Now you're going back to her, giving her power again. For God's sakes, man. I get you love the husky. I love a husky too, but good Lord. I know it's not advisable to mess with someone after a breakup, so you know. But after being abused and manipulated for so long, I wanted my moment. I got there and she had her makeup on, all pretty, and a shirt that makes her boobs look as big as possible. You mentioned this part at the end of your previous story. The conversation started normal enough, but all of a sudden she dropped her travel plans and decided she wanted to take 5 classes in the fall. She already has 3 Fs on her GPA, so at this point it was wasted effort. Of course she has 3 Fs, because she's an effing moron. said she's going to go to LA with her best friend instead. 25 minutes go by is when she decides to say that she can do better than me. She lists off all the ways she'll do better and tries to guilt me by saying that she gets physically sick from anxiety that I'm going to get with somebody else. Stop interacting with her. I let her talk, but after she was done, I let her know that I cannot forgive her and the damage was done. Yes, good. Now move on. She did not give up and said that she would read my book, which she hated, or do archery with me, which she never offered before. Dude, I wouldn't go anywhere near this woman with a freaking bow and arrow. Because you know where the arrow is going to end up? In your neck. This girl's crazy. I shut down archery by saying I would bring all my friends that she hated. Obviously, I knew everything she said was just an act. That was the only time I saw her after the breakup. Good. I went out with my friends a few days later, and while I was out, she texted me 6 times. Why aren't you blocking her, dude? I said to my friends what she was doing and to watch what I was about to do. I texted her back talking about a girl and she left me alone for 4 days. Smack! Now you're acting just as bad as her. I get you're 19, you're going to behave like a 19-year-old, but that was stupid. Now yeah, she didn't respond to you, but who cares? Stop engaging with her. Block her on your goddamn phone and Facebook and any other social media you may have or anything else. A week later, the memories of the physical abuse came back and I decided to end my game and cut her off completely. There you go. My dad didn't know any of what was happening, so one day when we were driving home, I told him everything. Yeah, in the previous video, I was wondering about your old man. I was wondering if your mom and dad had a bad relationship, and which is why you took this abuse. I was wondering if your dad was pushed around by your mom. But watch this, guys. Here's an interesting little detail. I told my dad everything. He was surprised at what she did and told me that he would be very disappointed if I ever got back with her. Well, high five to your dad. My dad is also a subscriber and regular viewer of the Strong Successful Male channel, and recommended the channel. Good. Shout out to the dad for recommending my work, because young man, you need this. You need to watch one of my videos every freaking day and other good channels that can provide information to help you out. That is how I got here. One of mine and my ex-girlfriend's mutual friends reached out to me and what happened between us, and I told her everything. She was stunned. Several years before, she was in an abusive relationship with which my ex-girlfriend was a witness to, and it broke my friend's heart to see her do the exact same things that he did. She said she did not want to be friends with her anymore and considered it a betrayal. Well, good. Nobody should be around your ex-girlfriend. She's psycho. I left her on read for everything, and she sent me after that, and she gave up trying to contact me. I may have interest in someone right now, but she's not my priority right now. Dude, I am telling you right now, I am banning you from any relationships or dating for at least 6 months to a year. After this shit, you got a lot of work to do, my man. And also, you need to focus on your grind, your purpose, doing well in school, figuring out what you want to do in this world, writing the book you talked about, hanging out with your bros, spend time with your dad, because your dad's obviously a sharp guy if he sent you to me. My main focus right now is my work, school, and getting this book published. There you go. Whew. You redeemed yourself. I'm grateful, though, that her plans did not get very far. I never got the vasectomy. I did not quit my job or drop out of school. I did not cut off any of my friends and family, and in terms of getting rid of my stuff to make room in the van, she only got the umbrella. She's like a typical narcissist that finds a victim that at the time was being very weak, and they do everything they can to get that victim to sever ties to everybody that cares about them so they can have them all to themselves. Classic behavior. She was coming for my books, my computer, my fishing equipment, and anything else deemed non-essential, and did not get any of it. And that is the abrupt end to this guy's story, and I think this will be the last time we hear from him. So, bro, as I said before, never interact with her ever again. I don't care if you're having drinks with your buddies and you want a good laugh to see how she'll respond. Don't do that, because then you're acting like a fucking child. Okay, you're 19. It's time to start acting like a goddamn man. I'm glad your dad sent you my channel. And to the dad, appreciate you watching me. I appreciate you recommending me to your son. And now you know your son was with this witch. You need to keep an eye on your son. And if he starts acting like a bonehead, get talking to her or interacting with her in any way, I want you to smack your son upside the head, because he has it coming. Bro, focus on school, your job, earning money, hanging out with your friends, the good friends, all that. Work on your book, and keep learning every day. Watch one of my videos every day, or at least somebody that produces good content, and you'll improve. And have nothing to do with her. Block her on everything. Shows up at your house, tell her to get the hell out of there. You're going to call the cops. Okay? And sadly, she'll just become somebody else's problem. She's nuts. But gentlemen, to all the guys watching this all over the world, this shows you the damage that can happen when you let the wrong people into your life. And it isn't just a girl or girlfriend. It could be anybody, a friend, whatever. Be very careful. And this is why I'm psycho about guys working on themselves, building themselves up so they have a really good self-esteem and self-worth. So they won't allow people like this into their lives. And if they do slither into their lives, they can kick them out when they realize, when they see who they are, when the boundaries are crossed. Weak people that don't know any better or don't think highly of themselves think this is as good as it's going to get, and they'll put up with this. Or they'll see it in their family. Now, this guy says, he sent me an email and said he and his mom and dad have a good relationship, so that theory was out the door. It's just that this guy just didn't have a clue how to handle women and what they are capable of because he's a young guy. This is also what can happen if people are raised in a family, mom and dad hate each other's guts, and there's no love there. And when the boy sees the mom bossing the dad around, they think that's normal. So a lot of important lessons in this story. So, young brother, you wrote this in. I appreciate you sending your story. It takes balls to write to me. You never know what I'm going to say. But you made your mistakes. It is what it is. But you're young, okay? So I believe I would smack the shit out of you more if you were older. Don't ever make this mistake again. Don't have any contact with her at all. Because if you do, I'm not going to do another story. I'm telling you right now, if you write me in 6 months, tell me you got back with her or you're talking to her, I'm not going to do a video because it's not worth my time. You didn't learn your lesson. So hopefully you learned your lesson and you're doing well and you can move on from there. And again, to the dad, make sure he doesn't fall off track. All right, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Let this guy know what you think. Give him your 2 cents in the comment section. This guy needs some tough love from the community to never get back with her ever again. He needs to hear it. Just take 10 seconds of your time. Don't get back with her. There you go. He'll learn. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.